recording on this computer. So here we go. We're right on the dot of 6 a.m., 10 a.m., 4 a.m., 2 p.m., wherever you are in the world. Welcome everyone to this deep dive into the 10 keys of financial freedom and a real exploration about what some of these things actually mean and what they're like in real life, and in fact how we've used a number of them and some insights that we've got along the way. So we welcome everyone. For those of you who speak German, we'll also be providing a German translation after the call and sending you a copy of that as well. And if you don't know German, you can listen to it and learn. It's be quite interesting. So the 10 Keys to Freedom, which is a book that Gary Douglas and Dane here from Access Consciousness had written quite a few years ago. And it's also been one of the main tools that Access Consciousness have used to actually allow people to see their life from a different space. And in what really happens with the 10 keys, the 10 keys to freedom, or what we're calling the 10 keys to financial freedom, is what it allows you to do is to really expand your life. And once you've expanded your life, your finances will and do expand. So what we want to do is explore what these 10 keys are like and have a look at them from the perspective of wealth and finances and how it can actually have an impact on our life and at the same time on our financial situation.
Well, the 10 keys have been the basic tools for Access Consciousness, particularly for people who have been access facilitators or people who have been exposed to the philosophy of access would know these 10 keys really well. Except we became aware that most people are not actually being it and using it. And that's when we had the conversation with Gleason, we just thought, wow, what would it be like if we actually introduce people to the power and the potency of these 10 keys. And if you can actually implement it, be it, and use it in your life, it will totally expand and totally create different possibilities for you. So the priority for us today is to invite you and to inspire you to know that if you becoming and implementing these 10 keys into your life, you will create something beyond what you could ever imagine. So we would like to run through these 10 keys and how we actually apply to our own life and living.
So these 10 keys, we'll just say right up front, the 10 keys are not about fixing problems. What they are about is about creating and expanding your life. So what we invite everyone to look at is when we go through these 10 keys, and we will go through all 10 of them, when we go through these 10 keys, please try not to look at them as something to use to fix a problem you've got.
And that has been the key things, that people only bring the 10 keys out to use when they feel stuck. When they feel that they have problems, they think, oh, maybe I can use the keys. What would it be like if you are becoming these 10 keys in every moment, in every day of your life? At the beginning, it could seem like a lot of work. But once you start being it, it just becomes who you are being. It's not work. But at the beginning, you will have to make a commitment to actually use it first before you can truly actually be it. The purpose or the priority of the 10 keys is to allow you to live your life with conscious awareness. Most of people out there create our life, or not even create our life, because most people function from autopilot mode. And most people are not functioning from choice, possibilities, and question and contribution that would allow you to create your life with conscious awareness. So everywhere, look at your life right now and acknowledge to yourself, are you creating your life from total conscious awareness, or are you living your life from autopilot mode? And please do not judge yourself. this is the most important thing. Acknowledge to yourself, oh, have I been creating my life from autopilot mode? Or have I been truly living my life from choice, from question, from possibility, and from contribution? And if you get that, oh, it's been autopilot, so just say, okay, now I'm willing to be and do something totally different.
So let's deep dive into some of the 10 keys. In fact, all of them.
Well, let's first talk about financial freedom.
Let's talk about financial freedom first.
Before
Why don't we do that?
into the 10 keys. So what does financial freedom mean to you? And we would like to demystify that financial freedom is not about having obscene amounts of money and alone, because by having so much money doesn't mean you have financial freedom. We know too many people out there who's multi-millionaires who's not free. So financial freedom is about living your life from infinite choice and infinite possibilities. So would you be willing to know that financial freedom is not just about attaining and trying to get more money?
It's not a dollar figure.
But it's about having infinite choice and infinite possibilities in your life. So what does it mean to have infinite choice and infinite possibilities in your life? And everywhere that you don't think that it's truly possible to have infinite choice and infinite possibilities, would you be willing to park that doubt and that sense of I can't do it, it's not applied to me, to the side, and be open to receive what we are going to be inviting you to know something totally different right now. You don't have, if you don't choose to get rid of it, just park it aside and allow yourself to open to different possibilities for this 1.5 hours.
See, the fun part is that if you actually get, there is infinite choice and infinite possibilities, and then you put in that and add the words in finances and money, therefore you've got infinite choice and infinite possibilities in all the different ways that you can actually create money, in all the different ways that you can create wealth. Because the only reason that we haven't created more wealth than what we have at the moment is because we don't believe that we've got infinite choice. We don't believe that there are infinite possibilities out there. And we've already decided that we can't, we don't know how to start, it doesn't work, I've tried that, we could go on all day.
So everywhere that you don't believe that it's truly infinite choice and infinite possibility and truly available for you, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate it all, please? Right or wrong, good or bad, pot and pot, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyond.
There's our first clearing for the day.
So the key thing about financial freedom is if you expand your life, your finance, and your financial reality and situation will expand.
So that's probably a good one to start off with, the first key to financial freedom, which is, would an infinite being choose this? So the first key is, would an infinite being choose this? That's a question. Now, what's interesting about this is that most people totally misidentify what it's all about. Would an infinite being choose this is not a yes or a no. It's just an energy that brings up the total choice that you have in everything, the infinite choice that you've got. So if you ask this question and you get the energy of, oh, no, I can't or I won't, then would an infinite being choose this? Then becomes, I can actually choose anything.
Well, this question is very much the foundation of living your life from a space of infinite choice and infinite possibilities, because as we all know that we are infinite being. Infinite being doesn't mean that we are, mystical being or someone who have, paranormal power or any magical power. It's about being no boundary, no limitation, being able to be out of control, out of definition, out of form, structure, and significance, and able to create and generate everything with total ease. That is what we are talking about, infinite being. We're not talking about you are the mysterious being that that can just magically create something out of thin air. Yes, you could create things out of thin air if you're willing to come from a space of infinite choice and infinite possibilities. So that's the starting point here. So like Steve said, these questions, it's not about finding the right answer.
It's not a yes or a no. Would an infinite being choose this? Oh, yes, they would. Now, hang on a second. An infinite being would also choose not to as well, too. They have no boundaries. And this is what we want to get across to you. With money, with finance, with wealth, there are no boundaries.
The infinite being is the one who chooses. And for those people who heard us talk about this topic before, it's about being a choosing one. Infinite being, choosing in every moment, in every day. So would infinite being truly choose this? Is not about getting, okay, yes, no, to that question. It's about, if I choose this, what would I create in my life?
And this is one of the most powerful questions you can ask when it comes to your finances, when it comes to any sort of investment. If I choose this, what would this create in my life in 5 years, in 10 years? Would it be greater or smaller? Don't try and visualize the amount of dollars in your bank or anything like that. That's rubbish. Just ask yourself, would this create greater in my life? Would this create smaller in my life? And it's that energy that will show you which is the way that you might want to go.
It's about getting the awareness of, if I make this choice, what would my life be like in today, for now, and in the future? If I don't make this choice, what would my life be like for now and in the future? So basically, we ask that questions for every single choice that we make, whether we are going to accept the client's project,
whether we invest in something, what shares we look at. This is the question we always ask.
Whether we're going to go and run the workshop anywhere, we actually ask, if we choose this, what would we create in our life? So it's give us the awareness of, is it going to expand our life, or is it going to contract in the now and into the future? Because you're not actually looking at, when you ask, if I choose this, what would my life be like? It's not about looking at contextual, and it's not looking at about what it looks like. It's about the energy of what my life be like. So it's about functioning from the energy of it. Knowing the energy that it's going to create more. When you ask that question, tap into the energy. Am I going to be more? Am I going to have more? And the whole thing about expanding your life is about creating more in your life. Always out-create yourself. Always be more, have more, and keep on expanding of who you are being. So every day you look at, okay, am I being more? Am I choosing to be more? Am I choosing to have more in my life? Or am I just being same, but a little bit different? So when you ask those questions, for particularly the first one, would infinite being truly choose this? It's basically you're asking the question, so what would my life be like if I choose this? And what would my life be like if I don't choose this? It's not like, I've heard people saying, oh, would infinite being truly choose to eat McDonald's? I mean, that is just a small choice. Why would you use that question to just ask for something small to get the right or yes or no answer? You be that question to say, okay, if I choose to invest in this property, would I create more in my life, or would I be less? And if you get a yes, then go ahead and do it.
It's one of the most powerful questions that we use, particularly when we're looking at things like clients, for example. One of the things that you may have heard us talk about is, are we being the choosing ones or are we being the chosen ones? The choosing one is one who actually does choose, and they choose from a sense of no limitation. They can choose to say yes, they can choose to say no. This question, would an infinite being choose this, is a powerful thing that will destroy any boundaries or limitations that you've put in place on something so that you can actually truly choose it. So would an infinite being choose this? Well, no. Why not? Because there's boundaries, there's limitations I put around it. I feel obligated. If you want to get rid of the sense of obligation, ask yourself, would an infinite being choose this? And if you get a no, then there'll be some obligations attached to it somewhere that you haven't even identified. So if you're looking at financial advisors, for example, and someone is advising you on something, then ask yourself, would an infinite being choose this? Yes, no, yes, no. Yes, okay, cool. There's no limitations, there's no boundaries, no judgments I've got around it. If you get a no, they wouldn't, then there's probably going to be some sort of judgment or obligation that someone is wanting to put on you that does not give you the infinite choice that you actually do have.
So now I invite you all to tap into the possibilities that showing up in your life right now. It could be something at work. It could be some investment possibilities. It could be looking to go out on the date with someone. It's as simple as those things. Now, look at that possibilities, and then you can ask this question. Would infinite being truly choose this? And remember, it's not about choosing the right and wrong answer. It's about, okay, if I choose to go out on the date with this person, what would this create? Would it create more in my life? Would it create less in my life? For those people who particularly do online dating, it's a great tool for you to look at each person, and instead of just looking at because they're good looking and they say they have the same like and dislike with you, you could also ask, okay, if I choose to go out with this person, would it create more in my life? Would it create less in my life? And it's the same time when we used to say yes and no to clients, we ask that same question.
And the same thing with looking at investments, the same thing with looking at how you actually want to use your money. It's just one of the most powerful questions, because the only reason that we're not creating more in our life is because of the judgments and the sense of obligations we've got about what we can or can't do. So there's no point in telling you or talking to you about different ways that you can actually create wealth or create finance if you've already got in place all these judgments and all these obligations and all these barriers and limitations that you put in place. So if we said, oh, you need to go out and do share trading, then 2/3 of you will go, eek, I can't do that. It's too hard. It's too difficult. Everyone loses money. All those judgments and barriers. The only question really to ask yourself is, would an infinite being choose this? No. Okay, so what are the judgments and obligations and the things that I put around this that is stopping me from at least looking at it? And that's going to be the biggest gift to your life, when you're actually willing to look at different things and start to educate yourself on it rather than already deciding that it's not for you.
And the whole priority for this question and the next 4 tools is about living your life from choice and from possibilities. Because, you have heard this a lot if you've been in access, that choice create. But what does that mean? What does choice create mean? Is that every single choice you make create something. Whether you're aware of what you are creating or not, the choice that you made create something. For example, you made the choice to come on this call. You might not know what this choice actually going to create in your life for now and into the future. But you know that by choosing to come on this call, by choosing to be the 10 keys, you could create greater possibilities in your life. So you can tap into that energy now by saying, okay, I have made the choice to come on this call. I made the choice to receive the different possibilities with the 10 keys. What would my life be like in 10 years, in 20 years? Is it more expansive or is it less? And that's the energy that would allow you to know that, okay, it feels greater. If I implement this tool in my life, it will even be greater. This will just give you the idea about what the energy is actually like. So the whole thing is about choice. It's about making the choice to create with awareness. If you're making the choice, but you're not aware of what these choices that you're making create, then you're not even going to be aware of what you are creating. So how many creation that you have created in your life that you're not even aware of what has been created? Please recognize that every single choice that you made create something. Even the choice you make not to choose also create something.
There's a great comment that's come through from Phrygia about how would an infinite being choose, for example, to buy a stock? An infinite being doesn't need anything. No, they don't need, but they know that they can create an even greater life than the one they have now, and even greater, and even greater, and even greater.
And it's not about need. It's about creation. Creation and generation is not about need. So the term need is about from a space of lack, because infinite being are not lack. But infinite being will keep on create more and more, because when we create more, we not create more just from the greed and from the lack, but create more because when we create more possibilities in the world.
It is the adventure of living is creating more, creating more. And that creating more is creating greater and creating something even greater. And the whole, when you look at this notion of infinite being, it is constantly creating and expanding. Not in a positive or a negative sense, it just is.
It's about living life from adventure of living, and living life from infinite choice and infinite possibility. It's not about need. And please be aware that when you go into, okay, I am an infinite being and I don't need anything. A lot of people use a space to stop them from creating. If people think I don't need anything, then I don't need to create anything. But truly, if you are an infinite being, and most of us are not always being from the space of infinite being. Remember, infinite being, it's about have no boundary, have no limitation. So if you have no limitation, you can be, do, have, create, and generate anything with total ease, not from the space of need. I have been playing with this needlessness for the past 5 or 6 years, about function from the space of needlessness. And when we can actually function from the space of needlessness, truly needless, you can actually create and generate and expand your life a lot more. And we are talking about expanding our life to be a catalyst for different possibilities in the world, not expand your life just for me, just for me, just for me. It feels the sense of, if you just choosing to be infinite being and trying to choose everything just for you, are you truly being an infinite being? Because infinite being make a choice to create different possibilities and more possibility for yourself and for everyone concerned. So it's very much a kingdom of true choice and kingdom of we.
And the other great thing about the stock exchange stuff, because we use this all the time, is if you're looking at a stock, or you're looking at, first of all, whether or not you want to get into the stock market, okay, would an infinite being choose this? Oh, okay, so what judgments have I got in place? Then you can choose whether or not you want to do it, as opposed to saying you can't, shouldn't, it's bad, it's horrible. Choosing not to is just as powerful a choice as choosing to, but you're choosing not having it dictated to you by your own points of view about whether something is good or bad or right or wrong or hard or easy. And then when you're looking at a particular stock, you're not just looking at the stock, you're looking at, well, what will this create in the world? What would this organization be like? What is this going to create? Is this going to create something greater in my life if I was to do this? And of course, you look at the charts and you look at all the other things as well too. These all work together.
But please also recognize that when you become an investor in any a stock or any business that you choose to invest in, it's more than just to make money. Because when we choose to invest in anything, we become a contribution to that business. So that is the awareness of ask the question, if I choose this, what would I create? Because if you choose to be in the stock market, and if you choose to create wealth and generate wealth in stock market, when you choose to be in the business like Tesla or Facebook or Amazon or whatever, please recognize that you are being a contribution to that business by the choice you make. It's not just purely I make the choice to invest in that business. It's just because I need money. To realize that when you make the choice to invest in business, you ask, will this business create greater possibilities in the world? Because if you're not going into investing with that question, will this business that I'm choosing to invest in, which means that you're choosing to be a contribution to that business, by choosing to put your money to invest in that business, you are being a contribution to that business already, even though you're not aware of what your contribution actually doing to that business. You are being the contribution to that business. So if you are investing in the business that destroy the earth, destroy the environment, destroy and do damage to things, what contribution are you being to allow that business to grow and expand? So be aware that when you put your investment, put your money into any business, you are being a contribution to that business. And you have to be willing to ask, so what am I creating with this choice I made here? I made the choice to invest in the company that destroy the earth. What am I creating to invest in this business? Because even if you invest $1,000 in it, your contribution of the energy that you are being is a contribution that to expand and grow that business. So we always ask when we invest in any business, in any stock, any share, it's not purely how much money am I going to create with this. That is such a small choice. What we have to ask is what contribution are we being to that business? And if you function from that space of investment, of you being a contribution to make that business into something even greater, if you know that that business is going to grow and expand and generate more in the world and be the catalyst for different possibilities in the world, even your $1,000 that you invest in that business will be a contribution to make something totally different. So it's not one level. You know, people tend to try to invest from just very one level of things. You are doing much more when you invest. You make the choice, and remember, every single choice you make creates something.
So this first key, we will get on to the other 9, this first key, would an infinite being choose this, is really something to remind us that there are actually no limitations other than the ones that we ourselves place on anything. And when you're looking at financial freedom, would an infinite being choose this, is really saying, what limitations have I decided are around this that actually aren't true? And if I were to get rid of those limitations, what would this create in my life? Fabulous conversation to have with yourself when you're looking at where you want to invest, how you want to look at your business, how you want to create your business, how you want to start things off, how you want to create money without creating a business. All of these, from the space of no limitation, will then make it easier, quicker, faster, and you'll make a lot more money out of it.
And then we start introducing the key 2 and 3. The key two is interesting point of view. I have this point of view. And the key number three is making choice in the 10-second increment. If you can see the key 1, 2, and 3, they are all working together. They work together. Please realize that all the 10 keys are working together. They don't separate. So you can't just do one key and not looking at key 2 and 3, because if you make a choice without being interesting point of view, please recognize that if you're not being interesting point of view when you make the choice, you're making the choice based on conclusion, projection, expectation, judgment, and assumption.
To support what you've already decided. I've already decided this is bad, therefore I won't do it. I've already decided this is good, so therefore I will do it. Yeah, and then you say, oh, this feels light, which means I've already decided I want to do it, and I'm going to use the light heavy tool to justify what it is that I've already decided. Happens all the time.
So basically, if you ask, would infinite being truly choose these? And you have so many projection, conclusion, assumption, and judgment. What are you getting from that awareness? Because it's all based, it's not even awareness. You ask that question based on what you already decided, what it's supposed to be. So what would it be like if you ask that question or saying to yourself, interesting point of view, I have this point of view with every single point of view you have. So come back to investment again. So if you look at any form of investment that you want to get into do, first look at point of view you have about any company that you want to invest in on the stock market, or even if you've been presented with the possibility to invest in properties or with any form of business. Doing interesting point of view, I have that point of view about any point of view that come up about that investment before you even made the choice to invest is so crucial, because otherwise you're going to make the choice based on your conclusion. And tell you what, conclusion is a state of being for most of us. So interesting point of view, we have that point of view. It's a key thing before we even look at any share, any investment. Because projection, expectation, judgment, assumption, and conclusion are just there, ready to jump on board. So the interesting point of view, I have this point of view about Tesla. So you keep on going about that because you hear information about what Tesla doing, what's not doing, how good, how bad, what he said, and all these sort of things. You know, like every morning we wake up, we hear all about the things he might have said, he might not say.
What he didn't say.
What he didn't say, what he didn't do, what the people. So when you read a lot of news about the things, you don't know whether it's right or wrong, good or bad. And if you don't go into judgment and you just go an interesting point of view that all this information are there, and make the choice to invest or not invest from a space of interesting point of view.
Can we go back even further? There may be some of you out there saying, well, I don't have enough money to invest. What does this mean? Well, what about if you went into interesting point of view, about this interesting point of view, you don't have enough money.
Yes.
Or you don't know where to start. Interesting point of view. I have this interesting point of view.
Absolutely.
I don't know where to start. Or this all sounds too hard. Well, guess what you can do there? Interesting point of view. I have this interesting point of view that this is too hard. What if that wasn't so? What would need to change? I don't know how to do stock market investing. Well, interesting point of view. I have that interesting point of view. What would need to change?
Yeah, and even include that the previous questions about infinite being have no need. If you could go, interesting point of view, I have that point of view. You know, just run the interesting point of view about every single point of view.
It means that you will not buy into the lies of this reality. You will not buy into the information that's out there that people are trying to tell you is real, when in fact they are just points of view. What interesting point of view enables you to do is to not buy into the reality that others are trying to force upon you. And this is what happens in the finance field all the time. People are trying to manipulate, they're trying to manipulate and probably trying to manipulate. Happens all the time. Have no point of view about whether people are manipulating. Of course they are.
Interesting point of view is the key for you to create your life with no projection, conclusion, expectation, judgment, and assumption. Because if you don't run that interesting point of view, I have this point of view of the conclusion based on the past and based on other people's reality which I'm in. So go from that space. But the most important thing is, please do not use interesting point of view as a
judgment.
A judgment.
Well, that was an interesting point of view. Screwed that up.
How often do you hear people say, "Oh, that's an interesting point of view"? It's to someone when they say something, feel the total judgment oozing out of that comment and say, "Oh, that's interesting point of view." That's not an interesting point of view. Interesting point of view is a space of, if everything is interesting point of view, then you truly can make the choice. If you don't function from interesting point of view, please recognize how many projection, expectation, judgment, assumption, and conclusion do you have that would not allow you to truly choose from awareness.
Jutissa uses this all the time when she's trading on the New York Stock Exchange. So let's say the stocks have been going nicely and it looks good, then all of a sudden they drop because some idiot has said something about something that is irrelevant, but the stocks have dropped. Rather than going into, oh my God, isn't this horrible? She goes into interesting point of view. Now what choices do I now have? That's different. Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. Now what choices do I have? And that's the space where she actually creates magic. This is the 9 trannies at work, when you actually are looking at, so what choice do I have now? And that is coming back to, would an infinite being choose this? It's the same thing again. What choice do I have now? What are the choices I've got now? Rather than, oh, this is really good, or this is really bad, or I want to maximize my profit, so I need to hold on for a bit longer. No, what choices do I have now?
And please, we're not talking about investing in stock or investing in property. It's investing in yourself. You know, it's about investing in expanding your life. So it doesn't mean that you have to go and start investing in stock market or trying to find the property to invest in.
No, you don't have to do any of that.
What does investing in you actually mean? You know, by choosing to eat things that would expand your life, that expand your health and well-being, that is an investment in yourself, in create different possibilities, in expanding your life.
And if you really want to be clever about it, now, what are the possibilities that this creates for me that could also potentially generate something different and new, which includes money? See, one of the things that we always say to people, we have these conversations in boardrooms around the world all the time, and that is, look, there's an infinite supply of money out there. There always has been, there always will be an infinite supply of money. And the only reason that more of it is not in your bank account or our bank account or their bank account is the points of view that we've already created about what it should look like, where it should come from, the fact it has to be in a bank account, the fact that it has to be something that we spend. It's all these points of view that create our reality. So if you're willing to be interesting point of view about every point of view, you will make more money. You can't help but do it.
And yes, Rebecca, you said that you like the addition of now. When you ask what choices do I have now, then you also ask, what would this create for now and in the future? Because you would want to be aware of every single choice you make. What is it creating for now and in the future? Some choice you make might be expansive for now, but it might not create expansion for the future. So you will make that choice from awareness that, okay, it's going to create so much expansion for now, but it might not be as expanded for the future. Am I still choosing to create that? Because remember that key number 3 is you can choose in the 10-second increment.
It's a trick. What it does is it reminds you that you can choose. Oh, okay, that's up. Now what do I choose? Oh, okay, that's up. Now what do I choose?
Well, the 10-second increment allow you to know that there are infinite choice. Because if you could choose in the 10-second increment, there are infinite possibilities and infinite choice out there. And when you make a choice, you're not stuck. But when you feel stuck, then you make a decision about something. So become aware of the choice and the decision you make.
So, for example, if you feel very angry at someone, that's fine for 10 seconds. Now what do I choose? Well, I still choose to feel angry. Okay, fine. Now what do I choose? That's getting a bit tiring. Okay, I'm going to choose to be something different. And this is how you can break things straight away. And the same thing with finance and investments and wealth and financial freedom. Everything is just a choice. And there's no right or wrong one. If you don't like something, choose different. How do you choose different? I don't know. Choose different. Or what if it doesn't work? Well, then choose different again. But what if I'm stuck? Well, choose again. It's not that difficult.
And if you like, come back to that example that if you ask, what choices do I have now? And you look at different possibilities that come up with that question that you have. Then you look at, okay, I have this choice, this choice, this choice, and this choice. Which one would create more in my life for now and for the future? And please look at that space too, that when you make that choice, you don't make from the space of the right choice and the wrong choice. Please be aware that you don't want to create a choice from right and wrong choice. It's a choice from a space of what else is possible. The choice that will actually create more choices. When you choose from the right and wrong choice, it's create a limitation. When you choose from possibilities, that every single choice you make create multiple possibilities in your life and your reality.
This is true investing, by the way. So this is not esoteric stuff. This is, financial freedom 101 is knowing that you've got total choice in everything, never giving away your power to anyone, utilizing what this reality is telling you, but not buying any of it as real, choosing in 10 seconds so that way you've got total flexibility. You don't feel that you have to hold on to something or that you've got to keep something until you make the maximum profit out of it. No, 10-second increments. Interesting point of view. I have this interesting point of view. Would an infinite being choose this? They all work together.
10-second increments, meaning the choice is not right or wrong. And when the choice not working for you anymore, you can change.
What?
You're not stuck with that choice.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe we could move on to the fourth tool, which is being the question. Okay, and then hiya, Rebecca. Rebecca's also, and it said in her notes, and it's also keeping the question, which leads us to the fourth tool, which is our willingness to be the question in everything.
If you can choose to be the question in everything, your life will totally change and expand. The 3 questions that I live in every moment is, how can I be more aware here? What would it take for me to be more aware here is the first question when I open my eyes. How can I be more aware here? The second question that I love is, how many possibilities are there here? Because most of the time, people only look at one possibilities. In fact, every single moment in our life, we are choosing from multiple possibilities. So it's important to ask, how many possibilities are there here? So if you don't ask that question, you think that is the only choice you have.
So here's an example, right? So when we say stock market and share trading, how many of you have already got a point of view that there's the one way of doing it? What if you knew there were multiple ways, and there'll be a way in there that you have so much fun with, but it's not what everyone else thinks it is? So if you know there's multiple possibilities, there's multiple ways of doing anything. Investing in real estate, running your own business, just using money and putting it into different bank accounts. What are the many possibilities rather than, oh, I've just got to put it in a 3.5% interest account and that's investing. Well, what are the other possibilities as well? Or I have to just trade using my own money on the stock exchange. Well, what if there are other possibilities there? There are in everything. There are multiple possibilities. You will not find them unless you know there are multiple possibilities and you start looking for them.
So the first question then said is, what would it take for me to be more aware here? How can I be more aware here? The second question is, how many possibilities are there here? And the third question that I love is, what can I choose that I have not even considered yet? What can I choose here that I have never considered? Because a lot of time, the things that we have never considered is the thing that's going to create so much more in your life. And these first three keys is about making choice to create your life with conscious awareness. And you know, people tend to say to us, but we have been looking for possibilities, but we don't find possibilities. Possibilities don't actually appear for me. Well, everywhere that you misidentify, misapply, if that is exactly what you think also, that if you say that I couldn't see any possibilities, destroy and uncreate it all, please. It's not about seeing possibilities. It's about choosing for possibilities. Can you see the difference here? People tend to be waiting to
for the
see
right
possibilities.
The right one hasn't come up. Well, hang on a second. What you've done is then just judged everything else as not being right because it doesn't meet your own limited point of view of what is right. And this is what happens in investments. I've got to wait for the right property to come up, or I've got to wait for the right investment. I've got to, and therefore wait. No creation. You probably heard the phrase, never wait, just create.
So the 10 keys is about helping you choosing for possibilities, for you to choose to create multiple possibilities with everything, not just investment, but with everything in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's key number 4, being the question.
Being the question. And the other thing we'd say in this one too is that this is not about just increasing your money. If you expand your life, your money will increase as well. If you expand your life and you start to destroy some of the limitations you've got around it, then by its very nature, money will come along and be part of that party because you're no longer judging the money side of things either.
So what does expand your life really mean to everyone? Just ask yourself that question. What does expand your life really actually mean? And then don't go into defining it. Just looking at, okay, when I expand my life, there's so much more possibilities, so many more choices, so many more awareness that I can have. So when you ask that question about expanding your life, it's so much more about what else is possible here? What else can I be to have, create, and generate that I haven't even considered yet? And go from that space.
So let's look at the 5th one, which is no form, no structure, and no significance. And what's interesting about this is, again, it's most often misused. No form, no structure, no significance does not mean that you don't fill in forms. It doesn't mean that you're not aware of how people are viewing things. What it does mean that you're doing it from a space of possibility. You're actually creating and using this reality to work for you rather than working for this reality.
So when you say, this is the way that I have to do this, this is the right way,
this is the only
way, this is how I should invest.
You can only invest this way.
This is how I should eat. This is the only way for me to eat because this is the only way I want to eat. And all those, be aware that It is a choice. It's not form, structure, and significant. But if you just say this is the only way, then that is the form, structure, and you make it so significant.
This is the way I want it to be. Well, what if there were easier, faster, quicker, more financially relevant ways that you hadn't even considered? So it's really this no form, no structure or significance means that you can actually then choose. Doesn't mean that you don't have some structure in your business. It doesn't mean that you don't have some sort of systems that you put in place, but they're not the answer. What they are is they are there to actually create greater, easier, quicker, faster possibilities for you. So when you're looking at things such as investing, often you're asked to use a lot of tools of this reality, like filling in forms. Now, those who have heard me before know that one of my pet hates in life, which I haven't yet got over, is filling in forms. And it's not until I actually change my point of view and I use all the 10 keys in a nanosecond to get over that point of view, then it actually becomes easy. Now, why have I got the point of view? I don't know. I just have it. At the same time, I know how to get over it. So,
well, form, structure, and significance is not just about the physical form either. It's about anything that you make as a decision, as solid and real. Anything that you say, oh, I am only eat this food and I refuse to eat anything else because I have decided that this is the only way that it's going to be expansive in my life. Can you see that that's just all the decision? Even when you say, I have decided that this is going to be expansive in my life, is it truly expansive in your life? If you make the decision that if I only eat peanut butter because that's the only thing expansive in my life, you're not going to eat anything else. So how many decisions have you made from the space of form, structure, and significance that wouldn't allow you to have different possibilities in your life? So everything that is time of Godzillion, whenever you make a decision on form, from a space of form, structure, and significance, please be willing to destroy and uncreate it all, because it limits infinite choice and infinite possibilities for you.
There was a very good example just this morning, about an hour and a half ago, where I was so focused on sending out the links for this call to all of you that decided to register in the last 45 minutes that I was so focused on getting that done that the energy was of form, structure, and significance. I had to do it. I had to get it right. And Judissa said something to me, and energetically I went, leave me alone. Just let me do that. That's form, structure, and significance. And I did get it out to everyone, by the way. But it was a lot easier for me when I realized that I was functioning from form, structure, and significance. And it was that energy of, I just need to focus, and this is the only way I can do it, and I can do that.
And anything
a cup of coffee helped too.
Anything that you make significant on you.
True.
Please recognize that anyone or anything that is so significant actually on you.
So let's move on to the other one, which is judgment, discernment, and discrimination. So no judgment, no discernment, no discrimination. Just be aware of what this creates in your life. Now, what do we mean by that? So when you are judging, when you are discerning something, or when you've got some sort of discrimination, what you're doing is automatically putting up the barriers to look at what might be, what could be, or in fact, what is.
Discerning is a judgment light.
Yeah, judgment.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, just judgment light. Okay, it's just a little bit of judgment. Yeah, I'm discerning. Hang on a second. Yeah. So one of the things that we look at all the time is, are we judging this as too hard? Are we judging this as wrong? Are we discerning, oh, no, this feels heavy. I don't want to do it. That's a discernment sort of judgment, little judgment sort of thing. So
even, we had aha moment in our conversation. We just been driving, working in Outback.
We're in Outback,
Victoria,
Australia,
and doing all these things
for the last week.
And we were talking about judgment and discernment, and we had a aha moment, like we were saying, oh, we hire all these people, make our life easier. Just that making our life easier is a judgment and discernment.
I just realised that I've been saying this for years. I hire people to make my life easier. And it wasn't until yesterday I realised that's actually a judgment, because what does easy actually mean? Easy, when I looked at it, meant that I wasn't creating that much because it was easy. And so we started looking at that and saying, okay, now let's change that. We are now looking at working with people and hiring people that will expand our life.
Yeah, because we were driving into 3 hours or 5 hours drive, and I said, okay, so if you don't get that this person's going to make your life easier, but that person's going to create greater possibilities in our business, in our life, and in the world, does that mean we're not going to hire that person? So that was the aha moment, because if you're so focused on the person make your life easier, and you not ask the question, okay, this person is not there to make our life easier, but by having this person in our business, in our life, is this going to create more, or is that going to create less?
It's a different question.
It's different question. So it's never, now we just shift from just making our life easier to the question, will this person create greater possibility in our life and in the world? And if we get a yes, we look at, okay, and also, will our life be easier having this person working with us? And if we don't say, we don't get a strong yes, and if it's going to create more in our life, in the world, we still choose it anyway. But from the awareness that this person is going to help us create more in the world, then we choose it from that space.
It gave great clarity about some of the choices that we'd made in the past with some of the people that we'd worked with in our conscious governance business, and some of the other. We've got we counted them up this morning. 12 global businesses now. It started off with 7, and it's up to about 12 now. And I didn't recognise it until we actually wrote them all down. Funnily enough, each of them have their own bank accounts and everything, so I just hadn't counted. But the thing in all of this is that the judgment, discernment, and discrimination comes across in very, very subtle but fundamental ways in everything. Is this a judgment? Is this a discrimination of some sort? Doesn't mean you have to choose to do something, but if you have no judgment, no discrimination, and you're not relying on discernment, then what you're doing is actually truly choosing what is going to create the greatest in your life, even though it may not be something you like. So now the next tool, and this is one of my favorites, is the next key, I should say. The next key is, and this is number 7, I think, never tell or buy the story. Justifying why you're not having something is why you tell yourself a story on something. So when you're listening to yourself telling the story of, I don't know how to do it, that's a story. I don't know how to do this. It's just a story, because you haven't even started. And because you've bought that story as true, then you don't even think to question it. And when others tell you the story, this is the best way for you to invest your money, don't buy the story. Be aware of it, but don't buy it as real. Too many people give away their power to financial advisors. They give their power away to the columnists in the stock market part of the newspaper. They give their key away. They give their power away by they buy the story of what other people are telling them.
So, what are the stories that you are creating your life by? What are the stories that you're not even aware of, that you making the choice based on that story that you have been creating your life by? Would you be willing to start being the question for you to recognize that, oh, okay, that's a story. What if it's not true? For example, if you buy a story to say that, I don't know how to invest. I don't have any money to invest. And I certainly never going to be having financial freedom. Those are stories. Would you be willing to see that they're just stories and they don't have to be true? But if you start by saying, I don't have any money, therefore I would never be able to be involved in creating or in investing. And if you buy that story as real and true, you're not going to create different story with that. So different reality with that. So listen to yourself and say, okay, if you say, I don't know how to invest, I don't have any money to invest, and this is not possible for me, you can start, okay, what if none of those stories are real and true? What do I have to be? What can I be and do different to destroy and uncreate and let go of that story now? So one story is, I don't have any money to invest. So you could go into, okay, so if I choose to invest, what can I be and do now to create enough money to start, for me to start playing with and invest in? If you say, I have no idea how to invest and I have not got the capacity to invest, you can ask, okay, I'm really making a choice to invest. So where could I go and get more information about investment? What can I be and do different to educate myself about investment? What else is possible here? So never actually buy the question, buy the story and go into the conclusion of that is the only way. And you create the limitation, you stop yourself from actually create more in your life if you buy your story.
Let's play a little game with them, darling. Okay, I'm going to say 2 words. Now just be aware of all the stories that come up in your universe when I say these 2 words. Are you ready, Andrea? Are you ready, Aaron? Nadja? Okay, here we go. Here are the 2 words. Cryptocurrency. Now, Nadja's got all excited now. Now, just be aware of all of the stories that have come up in your universe when you hear the words cryptocurrency, because all of those stories are just stories. You know, you hear the story, oh, you've got to get into it now because it's going to be the next big thing. It's a story. Or it's too late to get into it now. You should have got into it last year when it was really cheap. That's just a story. Or it's all a fraud. It's not real money. That's just a story.
It's too risky and you're going to lose all your money.
Or it's not risky and you're going to make a lot of money. They're all just stories. Be aware that everyone is peddling these stories out there. They're telling the stories. We've seen examples of where cryptocurrency has become multi-level marketing things. We've seen examples of where cryptocurrency people have thought that was another form of investment. It's none of those. Understand what it actually is. Don't buy other people's stories of what they tell you they think it is. Because people aren't that smart. They make up these stories and often they're not even really interesting stories.
And most people, when they heard the word cryptocurrency, they buy the story that it's going to be get rich quick if you buy into Bitcoin and things and Ethereum and all of those, that they are going to allow them to be multi-billionaires with ease if they can get in quickly. What if cryptocurrency is not anything with that story that people painting for it to be? What if it's going to create greater possibilities in the world? So if you look at cryptocurrency from that space, is cryptocurrency going to change the world in any way? And yes, it is going to change the world in any way, shape and form. And we don't even know what it's going to create, because cryptocurrency is so much more than just the coins. It's about the different possibility that cryptocurrency is going to open the world and the business world and the investment world into totally something different that we don't even know what that's going to be like or look like.
Alan, thank you for the comment. Now, Alan's written down their interesting point of view, that we have that point of view. And that's what you should do for everything we say. Interesting point of view, that I've got this interesting point of view. They've got this interesting point of view about whatever interesting point of view they've got. So don't even buy our story. Just be aware of what's possible. Oh, that was for Petra. Go, Petra. Hey, Petra, this is a really good question you've asked. What can I do with the stories if someone tells me? And Alan says, oh, interesting point of view. You have that interesting point of view. I love when people tell us stories, because then if I'm feeling like a little elf, and if you don't know what elf is, ask someone. If I'm feeling like a little elf, then I'll ask some questions about that story. For example, I will say, well, what question is there in that story that might actually get us to look at things a little differently? Or I will look at that story and use a particular word they use, and then come back and say, well, what if that wasn't what you thought it was? What would that look like?
I love to actually look at the conversation between Petra and Alan. The thing is, if
Petra and Alan, you're in the spotlight. Way to go.
If someone actually tell you the stories, which happen every moment, every day, people will come and tell you all kinds of stories.
Oh, just try your family. Right? They're full of them.
They are full of stories. You just have to read newspaper. That's a stories. You have to listen to the news. They're all stories. So yes, someone are telling you story every moment, every day. And you yourself telling you story every moment, every day. So it's not about going and confront them and say, interesting point of view, you have that point of view with the story they told. But you can say to yourself, that's interesting point of view. They buy into that story. And I don't have to buy that story.
How can I use that to my advantage? Is not a bad way of looking at something. So, oh, they've bought this story. I wonder how that could turn to, how I could turn that to my advantage. Now, by advantage, we don't mean to destroy or to rip out or whatever. Turn it to my advantage is by looking at, okay, so what other possibilities are there for me that I hadn't considered? So that's a great conversation, is be aware of the stories. Just, you can pretty much guarantee that when someone opens their mouth, they're going to tell you a story. So just be aware that most of what you hear is going to be a story. Be aware of it. Don't buy it as real.
When Steve said, how can I use that to my advantage? People immediately go into, they are being taking advantage of people. No. How can I use that to my advantage could mean, okay, how can I use the information that I'm getting about where they are functioning from to inspire them to see different possibility? That is about choosing to create to your advantage. Because if your priority is to be a catalyst for change and for different possibilities, you would be able to use how other people stuck in their story into your advantage. Meaning, if someone said to you, okay, I only do this, this, and that. Now, you already know the story that they bought into. And if you want to be a catalyst for change, and you can say, oh, what if it doesn't have to be that way?
And then walk away.
And walk away. Very often we just say, what if it doesn't have to be that way? And walk away. And somebody sent us the email 2 weeks later or 2 months later and said, hey, Steve, Shatisa, you said that when I told you this, and you said it doesn't have to be that way. What do you mean by that? Sometimes it takes that long for people to ask us. And if people don't ask, we don't even tell. They have to be willing to receive what we meant by that it doesn't have to be that way. But we don't actually say to them, oh, interesting point of view, you have that point of view. We just say, what if it doesn't have to be that way? It's the same as interesting point of view. You have that point of view, but it's more kinder, more space for people to say, oh, maybe it's true. Maybe it doesn't have to be that way. But if you say to them, well, interesting point of view, you have that point of view, it's always come out as a judgment.
What if it didn't? So, Corinne, you might want to retype this one. What if it didn't have to be that way? What if it didn't have to be that way? Because what that does, it puts the person into the question, if they're willing to say, oh, hang on a second, I never thought of that. But then they can ignore you or not. But what you're doing is providing another possibility without an answer. Now, how do you know when someone is telling you a story? It's when they tell you the same damn thing 2 or 3 times in different ways. So you'll know that it's a story. We come across this in boardrooms all the time, where there's a director who you know that they're just trying to get across a story because everything they say has these key elements in there every single time.
And stories tend to have a lot of form, structure, and significance.
Yeah.
And when they truly buy their story, just feel the significance that they actually, they make it so significant that they can't actually see other possibilities.
Yeah.
So it's the energy. You can perceive the energy of when someone telling you the story from a space of, oh, this is the only way. And if you don't choose this way, you are wrong.
Now,
that is...
The interesting thing is, now we tell ourselves stories, and this is probably even more powerful because it's pretty easy to know when someone's telling you a story. It's usually when they're talking to you. Their mouth's open.
When you said that, I always want to find someone to make my life easier.
It was a story I bought into.
That we bought into that, that's that. What if it doesn't have to be this way?
Yeah. And we came to that awareness when we started looking at companies like Uber and Airbnb and so on. If you look at the people that set them up, their life is not easy at all. They're constantly dealing with issues. So, and it's not so much would our life be easy, but would this create a greater possibility in our life? Now, how can we make that easier than it would otherwise be? Is a slightly different question.
And that's a question that I posted one day, is that if we are actually looking for people to support us or work with us that make our life easier, are we having to create our life small enough to find those people? So we began to change the question. Would this person create more in the world? Would this person create more in their life? Like when we start looking for staff or looking for power team, looking for people to work with us, we are not looking anymore for someone that will make our life easier. We look at, okay, would this person driven to be successful in their life? Because when you hire staff, or when you choose to, not even the staff, if you hire the accountant or if you have the financial advisor, first thing you have to ask, is this person choosing to do whatever it takes to be successful in their own life? Because if they're not choosing to be successful in their own life, they are not going to be a contribution to make your life successful as well.
This is a huge aha for us just in the last week, where we've been exploring this and saying, okay, so what if the work that we did and all the businesses we had, what if they were platforms for other people to create even greater success in their life? Most people look at it the other way. Oh, I want someone who's not that successful so they can come and work and be in service to me. No, what we're after now is people that are wanting to create their life even greater, and they can use us and our businesses as a platform to do that. That's what we're looking for.
The good example is we have this business called Conscious Governance, where we travel the world advising the board and the CEO and the leadership team about leading and create a governance in their organization. And people now know that we have different consultants who used to be CEO and the board director in their own right, and now they would like to work with us. And we realized that if we say yes to people who just say, I am retiring and I just want you to, Steve and Chutisa, to be the source for me.
I don't want to be bored.
Yeah. I don't want to be bored, but I want you to be the source.
I have all these skills and I've got this experience. Okay. And what we've realised is we've tried that with a couple of them, and they just don't create. They're not looking at using our businesses to actually create even greater in their life. And it just doesn't work.
And now what we look at when people contact us, which we have 3 or 4 every day, saying that I am retiring. But instead of saying, I don't want to be bored and I want to have a tiny passive income, they say, I'm retiring, but I don't want to retire. I know that I can still create and generate my life and expand my life. Those are the ones that we actually say, please come on board. What can we be and do with you that will allow you, that will create conscious governance as the platform for you to go out to create and generate more? People tend to ask us, aren't you afraid that these people are going to take your client away? And that's not the space of a possibility that we function from. And if they want to do that, so be it. So it's always, we're looking for people who really, truly want to generate their life and want to be successful in their life to include in our reality and in our business. It's even simple as getting the cleaner to come and clean your house. That even is such a simple choice that you can make as well, because we have gone through so many different cleaners who just here to actually doing easy job, and after they leave, the house doesn't even feel or look clean. All they wanted is just the quick, easy money.
I can feel most of the people on this call going, yes, we've got cleaners like that too. Yes.
And we realized, oh, wow, there's a lot of people out there who see being a cleaner as a job that they want to do to get easy money without even have to be a contribution to the house and to the people they clean to. And we found this couple now who driven to create a successful life as a cleaning business, their own cleaning business. And wow, they are just being such a contribution to our house every time they come to clean, the house sing, because they have that energy of so dynamic and so generative and so creating different reality for their life. So, even choosing the cleaner, choosing the gardener, choosing whoever you include in as your power team to create a greater life, that's the choice.
Your
and that's
accountant,
the
your lawyer, your financial advisor, your banker, all of those, they're all people. And there are 2 types of people out there: those who want to create their own life even greater than what it is, and the other 95%. So just be aware of them when you're talking with people.
If you're choosing financial advisor because you made a choice or you told yourself the story that you are not capable to create your own finance and be your own financial guru, in this 10 seconds, you can look for financial advisor, but the question you would want to ask yourself is this person really driven to be successful in their life? Are they really have financial freedom in their life? Because if they're not, how can they actually advise you to have financial freedom?
Interesting question. Now, just to recap where we are, we're talking about the 10 keys to financial freedom. The first key was, would an infinite being choose this? The second key, interesting point of view. Third key is 10-second increments. Fourth key, being the question. The fifth key, no form, no structure, no significance. The sixth key, judgment, discernment, and discrimination. No judgment, no discernment, no discrimination. The seventh key, never tell or buy the story. We're up to the eighth key.
Now, never tell and buy story as well is you don't go around being a story Nazi either. You don't go around and
She's talking about me.
Tell people to stop telling story. What that key means is they still can tell the story to you, but it's up to you to not to buy their story and not to see it as real and true. But you don't go and tell them to, go away, don't tell me the story. It's their prerogative to tell the story.
Particularly if they're paying you. then they might be paying you to tell you the story. We do a lot of strategic planning, and one of the things that we do in there is I will listen to a number of stories, but then I'll always ask questions. So what if that was different than what you thought it was? Or what if there were other ways that we could look at this that we hadn't considered? Or whatever it might be. That's where they're actually paying to have the awareness that there is another possibility. Some people pay you so that you just listen to their story. Oh, well, charge them more.
But some consultant, when they hear that word about not buy story and not tell story, they go in to become a consultant and shut people up and say, stop telling the story. Instead of saying, okay, tell me that your story and see how can we create different possibilities for you to look at, instead of tell them that their story is wrong.
Okay, so let's look at the 8th key, which is a really interesting one. And the 8th key is don't do competition. No competition. Now, that's really interesting, particularly in the business field, particularly in a whole lot of other areas, including our life, because competition can only come about if you are functioning from a sense of scarcity. Competition in this reality means let me get it before others do. Let me position myself so I get more than other people. And it's a great destroyer of value and a destroyer of possibility. What if there was no competition? What if you were just different?
Well, and if you function from infinite choice and infinite possibilities anyway, could there be any competition? You know, you will constantly outcreate yourself. If you keep outcreating yourself, who could compete with you? You will always be one step ahead of yourself and everyone else anyway. So anywhere that you think that there is competition, anywhere that if you have a business and you think that someone competing with you, if there's another business or another consultant or another facilitator actually come and do the business close to you, and you think, oh, they're going to take the client from you. They're going to diminish your capacity to create more in your business.
They're taking food out of my children's mouths. You know, all those sorts of feelings.
That is the sense of competition. And please recognize that when you think that, then you are not functioning from infinite choice and infinite possibilities, because you buy into this contextual reality of, okay, if somebody take the client away, there are less clients for me. Well, what if that's not true? There are many other different possibilities out there. You don't have to be fighting for the same client.
The space to be whenever you get this feeling of competition, or in fact, if anyone, you will always have people tell you, oh, aren't you worried about competitors? Or no, you've got lots of competition out there. They're all stories as well too. The real question to ask yourself is, what do I need to be and do different? Not to do anything, but what do I need to be and do different? And if you are constantly looking at that, not to solve a problem, but constantly looking at what do I need to be and do different, there will never be competition, because you are being and doing different all the time. So if you are a chiropractor and you have a chiropractor's business, rather than thinking, oh my God, there's hundreds of thousands of chiropractors out there, there's so much competition, that's immediately brought into scarcity. The real question to ask is, so what can I be and do different that will create greater change in the world? That's where innovation comes in. This is where you create a greater possibility in the world. If you buy into competition, and if you believe in competition, then you've bought into the lies of scarcity, which is not the point of this call, but you've bought into the lies of scarcity, and you have just negated the other 7 tools of financial freedom.
And if you can get into the question of what can I be and do different today, that will create my business as totally different from everyone else with total ease. Can anyone compete with you? And the thing is, it's not about the competition. It's about you outcreate yourself every day. If you not create yourself greater than what you were yesterday, you are create the space for competing with other people. So it's not about how to, it's about what can I be and do different that allow me to be greater than I have been willing to be before? That is a key question. What can I be and do different today that would allow me to be greater than what I have been willing to be before? Or what can I be and do different today beyond what I have ever considered? I love that question because there are things that beyond what we have ever considered. If we function from infinite choice and infinite possibilities, there are infinite things out there that's beyond what we have ever considered at the moment.
So don't buy competition as real. It's another story. And for those of you that are facilitators or that run your own business, just be aware that the greatest gift that you can be to your life is to ask yourself the question, what do I need to be and do different that would create something different in my life now and into the future? Great question to ask. Okay, so now this is an interesting one. The 9th key to financial freedom is don't do drugs. Now, immediately you've probably gone into these all these definitions of drugs, but what does a drug do? What a drug does is to create a lack of awareness. So everywhere where you're creating a lack of awareness, we could call a drug.
Mm-hmm. So everywhere that you contracted your awareness, anything that you do to diminish your awareness, that is a drug. So let's say if you have to constantly connect to your telephone all the time, wherever you sit down, you just sit and just look at your phone without actually open up to receive different possibilities. you are contracting your awareness.
Oh, she's talking about me?
And whenever you contract your awareness, you're actually not functioning from the 10 keys. You're not being infinite choice and infinite possibilities. So we are not judging anyone who's doing drug or anything like that. We are just saying drug is the thing that actually contract your awareness. So anything that actually contract your awareness and not allowing you to be infinite being with infinite choice and infinite possibility, be aware of why you're choosing that.
And be aware that when you hang around people like that, that has an impact on you as well. So, for example, if people are actually doing the physical drug things, and if you are hanging around them or they're in your house or whatever, it does have an impact.
It does drain the hole in your financial, space, because drugs tend to do that. Drugs tend to create the anti-conscious space for money, for possibility to drain away.
If someone is functioning from the lies of scarcity and they live in your house and it's going on constantly, be aware that that will have an impact on you. Now you can work with that, because then these 10 keys to financial freedom, you put those into play, and then the effect of these drugs, whatever they might be, this lowering of awareness, becomes much less impactful on you.
Gary was saying that, if you even stay in apartment building that people above you or below you doing drug, you can even look at your financial situation and realize that, it can actually diminish your financial situation where they're doing that. But if you're in the space that you can't move away, and that is that where you are, you just keep making yourself more infinite. Keep making yourself greater than the problem. Keep expanding yourself, expand more and more, and be more infinite. Then you wouldn't let those kind of things affect your reality and your life.
Let's finish off with the last tool, the 10th tool, which is no exclusion. Oh, which includes no exclusion of money either. Do not exclude. Everything is possible. No exclusion. So having no money is actually doing exclusion. So you're breaking one of the 10 keys to financial freedom by doing exclusion. Oh, I don't want money. We had a colleague of ours who was saying to me just 2 days ago, oh, I don't need much money. And I said, do you want to just replay what you just said? He said, I don't need my, did I really say? I didn't say that. Oh, I did say that. Oh.
So if you don't have the amount of money that you would like to have in your life, what exclusion have you been in to exclude that money from your life? What story have you told yourself about money that exclude the money from your life? What choice and what possibility you're not having to exclude the money in your life?
What judgment have you got about share trading that excludes that possibility from your life? What judgment have you got about cryptocurrency that excludes that? What judgment have you got? Anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you've got to choose any of them. But if you exclude them, then you have no choice.
As you can see, all the 10 keys now interrelated. So you can't just do one key without the other 9. So be aware that all the 10 keys have to be integrated together for it to have that potency that can create the change in your reality and your life. And we also realize that exclusion is sometimes excluding of the energy. Like we had 7 businesses, but in fact we have about 12 now. And the one of the business that doing super well, that doing nicely by itself for a long time, that we thought, oh well, that baby
just let it run along by itself.
Let it run by itself. We don't need to actually concern about it. It's become an exclusion because you pull the energy out when you think that, okay, that baby is doing really well, let it be. So when we even made that choice to say that baby is doing really well, let it be, and the person who's managing it and doing it are so dynamic and so creative, so we can put our energy in the other 11 business. We did exclusion. We knew that immediately, oh wow, by making that decision that business doing well, we have excluded our energy. So we have to be willing to put that energy back in, even though that business doing extremely well and it doesn't require us to manage it and put our energy into it. But by withdraw that energy, it's diminished everything.
Now, when we say no exclusion, doesn't mean you have to do everything. But what you are doing is you are choosing rather than excluding. So everywhere where you've said, I only want this, I only do it this way, I'll only invest in this, or the flip side, I don't want this, I won't invest in this, I don't do this, they're all exclusions. And just be aware that it might actually be stopping you or limiting you from looking at another possibility that is different than what you'd already decided you wanted to exclude. Just a thought. So let's finish up, folks. We hope you found this interesting, because this is a slightly different take on the 10 keys to freedom, with a particular focus on the financial freedom. But in the end, we're talking about financial freedom is about your willingness to create an even greater life.
But I would like to invite you to actually choose to be it. Because after listening to this, you might just say, oh, that's very interesting and that's inspirational and I could do it, I could be it. No, you just choose to be it right now, please. You just have to start. And the start is right this minute. Making the choice to see that you create and expand your life from the adventure of living and being infinite choice and infinite possibility right now. If you're not choosing to be right here, right now, from the space of infinite choice and infinite possibilities, in half an hour time, you're not going to choose it. So please choose it right now, that my life is about infinite choice and infinite possibilities. And the next thing is to ask, with everything you do today, even just the next hour, if I choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years. If I don't choose this, what would my life be like in 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years? And tap into the energy, not actually looking at what it's going to look like. On that note,
be you and create even greater change in your life and the world. And be aware that the 10 keys are there to be, not to try and solve problems. And if in doubt, remind yourself of them. We do all the time. Remind yourself of the 10 keys that you've got.
And you already made that choice. By being on this call, you already made that choice to create different possibilities. So what would it be like if you start putting those keys into being and into use?
There's your job for the next lifetime.
Ever.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
again. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.